Welcome back. I'm here to talk about elitist. I'm here to talk about privileged folks. And I'm here to talk about entitled folks. So we're going to start with the lowest rung, but the one that makes the most noise first, which would be the entitled folks. These are usually the Karens of the world, where they feel like they have to fight for every single thing that they get all the time because they feel like it's their birthright to have something, regardless of what it is. It could be 3 cent off a toothpaste, it could be a buy one, get one free for an automobile, it could be a buy two, get one free for a house, whatever. they they just want their share of the pie no matter what, you know, the situation calls for. And you have a lot of narcissists and psychopaths that goes into this category. And sociopaths. You might as well go ahead and throw all three into that category and so forth. I did a video on that, so you can check that out with the narcissists versus psychopaths versus sociopaths, even though that's not the order of the title, just like that's not the order of the title of this video. So, anyway, with the entitled folks, you tend to have people that they go into the store and it's like, oh, your price is $3.99. That tag said it was 59 cents, and I'm not going anywhere until I get the damn thing for 59 cents. And if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna go to your manager, I'm gonna go to your supervisor, I'm gonna call corporate, and I'm gonna have your job because I pay for your salary, blah 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 blah. Those are the folks that's entitled. And that's a cut and dry situation. Those are the have nots that want to have everything, you know. Um, Another situation is like they could be intimidated. It's like, okay, if they don't feel like they can control you, they're going to circumvent something around you. Those are the ones that will take your ass to HR. Oh, I'm afraid of such and such because he's threatening me because, he won't listen to what I say and, he's telling me I'm wrong and I know I'm right because I'm going off of the manual and, that type of person. The one that will sit there and cry in front of HR while they're lying about what they do. And yes, I've been there before because that's why I'm referencing the story and so forth. And a lot of entitled folks, you know, you take their stage away, basically. If you're in their sandbox, you get out of their sandbox, they have no control and they realize they have no control. And it's like there's nothing else they can say or do because, hey, you stand on nothing, you get nothing. Usually that's what happens. And entitled folks, a lot of them come from, different backgrounds. Um, One of the biggest examples I could say is athletes can get into that entitled role because they're good at their sport or they're recognized on TV and so forth, and people tend to give them things for access. And when they're not good anymore, people don't want to be bothered with them, but then they still want all of the perks of being an athlete. They got happen to actors, actresses, hell, politicians, anybody that's, publicly known can fall into that entitled category because people see them, they want access to them. Therefore, it's like, hell, I'll give you a discount, I'll give you free merch, whatever, just, let me talk to you, let me hang out with you, let me interview you, whatever. That's what entitlement is in the short run. I said I was going to try to keep the video short. Let's see if I can do it. So, the next level would be privilege. So, with privilege, that's the people that have, but they didn't necessarily ask to have. Like royalty, like people that come from a gen wealth family. And for you people that don't know what gen wealth is, it's generational wealth. Like, your great great grandfather, was a media tycoon, and the great grandfather, the great great grandfather, and so forth, that his descendants earned his wealth or her wealth or whoever. You know, it's all in the family. You know, you think about the Hiltons, you think about, you know, the Vanderbilts and people like that from history, where it's like their families kind of inherited their wealth. The Bushes, the Adams in Massachusetts, people like that, on their own, they may be good people, but they came from wealth or, uh, almost like an aristocracy type of thing. And it's not their fault that they're millionaires or billionaires, but they came from it. A good example I would use, hell, down here in Florida, is it's a royal. I'm not going to name her name. Occasionally we will run into each other on the beach or whatever, and I figured out who she was because I study history, and I'm not going to say what royal family she came from, but she was just one of the folks there. She's like in her 30s, whatever, and you can look it up, but she's just an average, everyday person that just so happened to be in the bloodline. That's what I talk about when it comes to privilege. And privilege and entitled are not the same thing. Entitled is the ones that are have nots. The privileged folks actually have, but they don't necessarily act like a Karen. They don't necessarily act like an elitist. They just people that just came from, you know. It's like the brother of such and such, or, you get it. It's like somebody you're related to or you're in the family of, where they have a lot of privilege and sometimes influence, because there's some rich folks that's out there that has no influence because they are not outwardly facing. They don't necessarily integrate with their community. Some of them may, some of them may not. A lot of them just don't want the pub. They want to do what they do, and live their lives normally. So now the next level will be elitist. And I know this is like the third video I done mentioned something about the elite, but the elite has a lot of influence in this country and in this world. So, an elitist is somebody that believes that their word and their influence should be done immediately or even sooner to the population. You know, if they feel like, they control the gold market, then our money standards need to be into the gold area. If they feel like our money needs to be backed by silver, we need to go that way. If you need to be vaxxed, you're going to be vaxxed. It's not necessarily a group, but it could be an individual that feels that way, that's behind a group or, a corporation. Then you have some elitists that come out of academia. Here I go again. A lot of the colleges push a lot of agendas, and they know better than you know yourself. You also have you also have religious zealots. I'm sure I'm going to get slammed for that one too. But there's a lot of people that find religion, or, for lack of a better term, get religified, that thinks that everybody should follow what they're doing. It's like, oh, I found the right religion for me, and everybody needs to follow what the hell I'm doing. They'll post scriptures, they post sermons, they do all of this stuff that they themselves don't do, but you should do, because you need to do what they're doing, because what they're doing is right. They'll post everything about that church and live their lives like pure D trash, and their family can't stand them and stuff like that because they so engrossed with that they don't look at real life around them. It's like there's a balance there. It's, you have to acknowledge your family in a situation like that. And I know because I've been through it. My mother, when she switched religions, it was like, it went from heaven to hell literally overnight when she did that because she was so engrossed with her religion. The only thing she would do is work, get engrossed with her religion. The whole family structure of the house fell apart. And that's an elitist mindset. It's all about the cause, it's not about the people. You know, you have activists that fall into that role. That doesn't mean I'm putting a wide paintbrush on everybody that's, in that category. But you find a lot of activists the same way. It's all about that cause. I mean, hell, you could be planting tomatoes. Well, those chemicals came from this plant that, did such and such. I'm just using vinegar here. Well, that vinegar was processed by people in China that did this. It's like everything is about the cost. They'll find something wrong with what you do all the time and try to get you over to their cause. You have some politicians that fall into that, but politicians, for the most part, they go wherever the money is, so you can't really put them in that category. But for the most part, when you're talking about an elitist, they try to control the narrative all the time. They are always right, even when that narrative changes. Well, in my research, I noticed that such and such is like, or in the Pew study, I noticed this happened for this to change. It's always something that they try to put on you. That's the infamous they, is the elitist. It's always them trying to control the narrative. They're the infamous they and them, all wrapped up into one. So if I need to go further down the line, I'll make another video on it. But I wanted to do something short just to let you know the differences between the three groups. And yes, I want to do something else when it comes to religious zealots and activists and and a lot of the corporate elitism. So you'll see another video on some elite down the line. Until next time.